We've all seen those court cases on TV that are just a little bit weird. Well, today I'm going to tell you about 5 very strange but very true court cases, all involving a little bit of the paranormal. On January 23rd, 1897, Elva Shoe was found dead at the bottom of her stairs. Of course, her husband Erasmus Shoe was summoned, and in his grief, he decided to move, dress, clean, and ready the body for burial before the local physician even showed up to do the autopsy. When the doctor finally arrived to do the autopsy, Erasmus was in such a state that he would not let go of his wife's head, and he was in so much grief that the doctor eventually had to stop. He ruled it death by everlasting fainting, but then did change his diagnosis to complications of pregnancy. Elva was buried, but a lot of people commented on his strange behavior at the funeral. They said that he would not leave the head of his wife's casket and that he insisted she be buried in a scarf that he said was her favorite. Fast forward 4 months later, and Mary Jane, her mother, shows up at the county prosecutor's office. She had quite the tale for the prosecutor. She said that her daughter had visited her 4 nights in a row as a ghost. She said that her daughter had detailed how Erasmus had beat her and abused her, and even told her mother how Erasmus had killed her by breaking her neck. After thorough questioning, the county prosecutor decided that maybe there was something to this story and had Elva dug up. After examining the body, they found that Elva did indeed have a broken neck, a smashed windpipe, and bruises in the shape of fingers around her neck. People had noted that Erasmus had been acting a little weird since the funeral. He had told people that he was going to marry 7 wives in his lifetime, and that even if they exhumed Elva, they wouldn't have enough evidence to convict him. And all of that, combined with the findings on Elva's body, convinced the prosecutor to arrest and charge him with murder. Upon further investigation, they actually found that Shoe had been married twice before. One wife died under mysterious circumstances, and the other divorced him and claimed abuse. During the trial, the defense actually called Mary Jane, the mother, to tell her ghost story on the stand. They thought it would make her seem kind of nuts, but apparently that didn't work. And after only 1 hour and 10 minutes, the jury convicted him of murder. This was actually the first time that a ghost statement was allowed as evidence in a trial. Erasmus got what was coming to him, though, because he was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. And after the trial, he was actually taken by a mob and they tried to lynch him before the sheriff broke it up. Once in prison, though, he only served 3 years of his sentence because a flu epidemic hit the prison and he died. March of 2017, Claudia Akley was walking through the San Bernardino Mountains with her 2 girls. She said that all of a sudden her girls froze in fear, and that was because there was a huge Bigfoot staring out at them from behind a tree. When they were safe and got home, Claudia called the state to report the sighting, but was told she'd only seen a bear. Well, Claudia was actually a Bigfoot researcher and had studied these animals for about 20 years and was very convinced that what she'd seen was not a bear. She decided to sue the state of California's Department of Fish and Wildlife and the Natural Resources Agency to make them claim Bigfoot as an actual species. This would allow them to take reports on Bigfoot, protect Bigfoot, and protect the public from these large animals. On March 15, 2018, Ackley actually asked the judge to dismiss the lawsuit. This was on advice of her lawyers because she and a friend had written the lawsuit and the lawyers wanted a chance to rewrite it and make it comply and be more in line with the court rules. Unfortunately, Claudia died of a heart attack before the case could be refiled. On June 9th, 2022, Larry Sanders and his buddy Jimmy Knighten decided to go noodling in a river in Oklahoma. If you don't know what noodling is, it's when you wiggle your fingers in holes in the riverbed and hope to catch catfish, and very, very much hope not to catch snapping turtles. Anyway, 2 of them went noodling, but only 1 returned. So according to Sanders, what happened that day was that Jimmy was acting very strangely. He took a cryptic phone call in the morning, and then at one point actually got up on a rock and howled like a Bigfoot. They even saw a Bigfoot downstream from them at one point during the day. This sighting, combined with Jimmy's strange behavior, convinced Larry that Jimmy was trying to lure a Bigfoot in to kill Larry and eat his body. Out of fear, he killed Jimmy. When he returned home, he openly admitted that he killed Jimmy in self-defense. Unfortunately, Larry was a known Bigfoot believer and, more importantly, a known methamphetamine addict, and the police did not take his side. He was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison in 2024. Imagine going to a seance to communicate with a dead family member, but instead finding out exactly how and when you yourself would die. Well, according to a warrant filed by her daughter, this is exactly what happened to a New Jersey woman in 1976. Dorothy Ramsey attended a seance with her daughter and her estranged husband Fred to try and communicate with their son-in-law who had passed away. Dorothy's daughter alleged that during the seance, self-proclaimed witch Joann Denton had told Dorothy that she was going to die April 10th in a car accident. And lo and behold, Dorothy did die on April 10th, but not of a car accident. The official autopsy states that she died of sedation due to alcohol and excessive drug use. Apparently, Dorothy was already kind of a nervous person, and on the day of her supposed death, she tried to calm herself by taking some anxiety meds, having a little drink, taking some more anxiety meds, and eventually accidentally killed herself with an overdose. This did not stop her daughter, though, from trying to have Joann charged with witchcraft under a 1951 law that forbade fortune-telling, palmistry, clairvoyance, and other similar witchcrafts. The case was eventually dismissed, though, because after some investigation, the police determined that Fred Ramsey, Dorothy's estranged husband, was actually the one that made those predictions. And weirdly enough, according to one source, he'd also recently taken out life insurance on Dorothy. Wouldn't it be wonderful if you could channel your favorite author? Maybe get those prequels to Harry Potter or read that best-selling novel before it hit shelves? Well, that's not exactly what psychography is, but it's kind of close. Psychography is when a person will channel the spirit of someone, maybe a famous author, and write down what they say. One of the most prolific and famous psychographers of all time was a Brazilian man named Chico Xavier. He wrote over 450 books that he claimed were channeled from different spirits. He was a hero in his home country because he was a huge philanthropist, wrote these books, was a huge spiritualist, and also was very well known for writing letters to loved ones from their dead family members. In fact, when he passed away, his funeral procession was over 2.5 miles long and included 30,000 people. However, in 1944, he was actually sued by the widow of another famous author, Humberto de Campo. The widow felt that she was entitled to part of the proceeds from these books that had supposedly been ghost-written by her dead husband. The court sided with Xavier, though, and said that there was no way to prove mediumship, and therefore you could only claim ownerships of books written while you were alive. They also pointed out that technically dead people don't have a right to work. If you like this video and enjoy a little bit of a twist with your history, be sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.